Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Mike Kollin at crackthefemalecode.com. Alright, so today I'm going to break down scientifically what seduction is to a woman and why and how it's completely different than what men think it is. Here's the really cool thing. You will be honoring her. If you're a married man, this is the only thing that will save your marriage. All the bullshit that you've been taught in Tony Robbins seminars, the Men Up From Mars guy, and all the pickup artist stuff does not work, and you're going to understand why in this video. This is what women have been begging for thousands and thousands of years. Unfortunately, the male system is not wired in this way and doesn't even know that this exists. Sure, women say it, but it's like your radar system was not designed to pick up on it. Women use this stuff all the time. They use this language, this hidden way, and they don't hide it. They do it right in front of you, and it goes right over your head, and women just roll their eyes like, what's wrong with men? Number one, there is nothing wrong with you, okay? Men and women are neurologically wired differently, including our mating systems. Now, let me give you a really simple concept, and then I'm going to go into some deeper concepts that are very hard for the male brain to understand because nobody has ever explained this to anyone on the planet. It's not in the pieces that you're going to learn here. You're going to be like, I've never heard this before because it's never been taught before. When you take my course, Crack the Female Code, you will have a greater understanding and ability than all these so-called world famous experts that are literally making tens of millions of dollars every year teaching their so-called guru courses. They don't work. If they did, you wouldn't be listening to this video right now. Alright, let's start out with the basics and then I'm going to something deeper because I've gone over this before. So number one, our mating systems are in the lower reptilian brain, but we are connected to two different parts of our brain. So for the male mating system, it's connected to your eyes through the optic nerve. This is why men are what's called visually external, meaning you look outside of your body to her tits and her ass and her cute smile, and she flips her hair, she swivels her hips. All of that is Mother Nature's ways of triggering your mating system to make you horny to want to have sex. Guess what? You looking good visually through the eyes does not turn a woman on. Shocker, huh? The reason why you think that is because that's the way that you're designed. So you get turned on that way, so you assume and project, well, she must be too. So what do? You wash your car, you wax your car, get chrome rims so it looks good. You take her to a visually appealing, expensive restaurant because it looks good. You get your hair cut, you put gel in it or that wax stuff or whatever you put in your hair. You get your beard done right. You get an expensive dress shirt that looks good and you iron it and you make it look good. That's all visual male stimulus. This turns women off. You are not gay. You are not a homosexual unless you are. If you want to pick up on men, guess what? You're already doing the techniques. You're really good at it. So stop it. Here's what I mean. The female mating system has a nerve that curves off to her right brain, as I've said before, but I'm going to go deeper this time. Now watch this. The nerve curves off to the right brain's communication center. The right brain is called the internal brain, and that's what we're going to go over today. Okay? This video series is conditioning your brain to begin to see things in a different way. Remember, if you haven't already, click subscribe, click the like button, make a comment, and buy my book. It's worth the $35. It will change your life. I guarantee it. So her mating system curves off to the right brain's communication center. So what do you think turns a woman on sexually? The right brain hidden language. It's called the internal language. The left brain is the male brain. It's the external linear, meaning it goes in a line, and it literally follows step 1, step 2, step 3. When you communicate in the logical, linear, external language, it literally turns her off and forces her to leave her right brain and going to the left brain in order to use the same processor that you're using, and thus you literally just disconnected her from her mating system, and thus you turned her off sexually, and now you just friend zoned yourself. Alright, so one of the challenges in my course is marketing this in a way that I can get your brain to begin to grasp the concepts, okay? Enough to where you're like, oh, when you have that aha moment, it's going to change everything, okay? Number one, pickup lines, lines and openers, that's left brain. That's all external. If you are in the external system, you are literally disassociating her and taking her out of her associated brain. You want her to be associated inside her body. When you use lines and openers and you're up in your forehead energy, it disconnects her from her body and it turns her off. We don't want to do that. We want to do the opposite, and that's what this video is going to talk about. Alright, so I have a few graphs and charts and images that I'm going to show you here, some scientific stuff, okay? So just hold on a little bit longer. I have to explain some things first. Alright, so one of the things about understanding the female brain is I have to explain one piece, and then in order for you to understand the second piece, and you have to understand that piece in order to understand the third piece, and so on. It's a different way of understanding, and that's why it's so hard to market and sell this course, because the male brain is like, we'll get to the point. Just give me, like, look, I could literally tell you, well, here's how to understand it, and this is what it is, but you won't be able to do it. It's exactly like saying, oh, go read a book on how to be a professional quarterback. Oh, you ready for the Super Bowl, huh? Doubt it, bro. You are going to have to get on the field. You're going to have to practice, and physically do it. Now, watch this. The male brain is the logical brain. It's the thinking brain. Now, here's the other thing about the male brain that you probably don't know. So, first of all, the male brain's really good for math, business, and science, and building things, and all kinds of man things, which is good. The problem is that's going to turn her off. The right brain is the physical brain. The right brain is connected to your body. This is why a lot of athletes do really well with women. They don't know what they're doing, but the challenge is they've gotten really good at opening up to the right brain. This is why professional athletes are professional athletes. Guys who think, you lose. You will not get into the game. You will not be able to swing the bat, hit it at the same time. In boxing, kickboxing, being a jet fighter pilot, you have to feel it. You have to feel it. The right brain is the 5 senses brain. See, hear, feel, smell, and taste. And this triggers a female's mating system. Alright, so remember, the left brain is really good for memorizing names and strategies and techniques and steps to techniques, etc. Algorithms and all that stuff. It's really good. Now, it's good for what it's good for. The problem is it's not good for seduction. It's not good for relationships, because the right brain is literally the social brain and the relationship brain. And this is what melts a woman's heart, okay? And it gets you ahead in life. The right brain is also the bigger picture brain. The left brain is the smaller picture, seeing one piece of the puzzle at a time. The problem with that is you can't put the pieces of the puzzle together. That's what the right brain does, and those are the men that become the captains, the colonels, the majors, the generals, and the presidents and the CEOs. Because those men, the reason why they went up the ladder so fast is because they have the ability to put the pieces of the puzzle together to see the bigger picture. If you can't put the pieces of the puzzle together, you are not valued in a society. This is why the female mating system is literally triggered and turned on sexually when a man sees the bigger picture, when he puts the pieces of the puzzle together, especially when it comes to right brain communication. So you've been led astray being told, memorize this, memorize that, memorize this opener, memorize this line. Do you know what that tells her? You're a very left brain kind of dude, which means she can manipulate you, she can play games on you, she can sneak around, cheat on you, and on and on. And she'll let you pay for dinners and all that stuff while you're using your lines and your openers, and she's just giggling with her friends and laughing at you. Alright, so I'm going to explain some concepts, but before I'm going to bring up those charts that I was talking about. But before I talk about that, there's something that I learned in NLP. I think it was during a master practitioner or trainer's training. Is when you gain rapport with people, the secret, and not only gaining rapport, but when you're, no, it is rapport, but it's also when you're trying to install different states of mind and emotions, etc. You have to model that. And here's what I mean. A lot of people that fail at NLP and hypnosis is they don't take on the energy, the emotions, the feelings of whatever state that they're trying to install into that person so they can have a better life. So here's what I mean. So if you're trying to be, someone says, I'm not a confident person, I want to be confident. And so you logically tell them, be confident, be confident, be confident. That's not going to fucking work because you're in your logical brain. Confidence is an emotional feeling. So you first have to go into that. You first have to become that emotion, whether it's happy, joy, confidence, whatever state of mind that they're looking for, and then you can anchor it into them. Because here's what happens. Humans on an unconscious level are rapport gaining machines. We have a program, a process inside us that runs, and we gain rapport with people after a period of time, which means on an unconscious level, we begin to become like them. We begin to act like them, talk like them, and we take on their emotions. So in order for me to guide someone from sadness, depression, insecurity into absolute total confidence, I have to step into that energy and that feeling myself. And here's what happens. Because on an unconscious level, they've been spending time with me, they begin to take on that emotion much faster and much easier. So boom, once they're there, I can anchor that into their system, and then it links up, and boom, all of a sudden they're confident. So you might be wondering, what does this have to do with women and getting laid, seduction, saving your marriage, picking up the girl of your dreams? The answer, everything. Because what you've been doing has absolutely been turning women off and disconnecting her from her mating system. And let me explain why. So I'm going to explain both sides of the fence here. So number one is what you've been doing, and then I'm going to tell you what you should be doing and why. All right, so number one. You've been Mr. Logical thinking, well, I'm trying to impress her. Impress is male left brain logical energy. It literally means to push, to impress, press meaning push. What you're doing unconsciously, maybe I'll explain in another video, is on an unconscious level, you're pushing her away, and eventually they give up and they take off. And you're like, I don't understand. Why did she leave me? It's because, dude, you were way too pushy. Like, what do you mean? See, when you start talking about how much you bench, how much money you have in your car, and I used to do this because I was a state champion in boxing, national champion kickboxing, wrestling, football, racing, BMX. I used to like tell women this shit, and like they would always leave, and I didn't understand why. It wasn't because I was talking about my accomplishments. It was the way that I was talking. I was using the left linear logical system, which what does that do, guys? It disconnects her from her mating system, and it irritates her, and it pisses her off, and they're like, oh, I'm out of here. I can't stand talking to this dude. Now, here's what you need to do, and then I'm going to bring up the charts and explain it scientifically, all right? So what you need to do is you need to learn how to drop down inside your body. Your awareness needs to drop down inside. Why? Because this opens you up to your right brain, which what happens is when she's around her, her mating system gets turned on because remember, people gain rapport. So if you drop from your logical brain, your forehead, into your body, all of a sudden she does too. Now it may take a few minutes, but all of a sudden she just opens up. She feels warmth. This is the open system, by the way, and her blood flows freely throughout her body. Her muscles relax. Her blood vessels loosen up and open up, and blood flows through, and she feels a warm comfort around you, first of all. So now emotionally, she feels connected and she feels comfortable with you emotionally, which means number three, because number one is the logical system. So number three, then she's going to open up to her sexual system. And what happens is now that she's in her right brain, she's connected to her mating system, and now she's connecting sexual feelings towards you. Science. All right, so here's what I mean. The female system is the internal system. The male system is the external system. If you're using the external system while you're talking to her, interacting with her, your body language, it's going to turn her off. But when you can get her to reconnect with her internal system, which is the right brain, it literally connects her to her mating system. So the main core pattern is this symbol right here. Now, once you understand the entire course, it's going to be this next symbol. This is how simple the course becomes once you understand it. This is it. It's the internal energy and the external energy. Once you learn how to connect with her in the correct way, the energy begins to flow and build between men and women. The way men do it now is it's like they connect forehead to forehead, and that drains the energy. That's just why when you've been married or in a dating relationship, you get drained, she gets drained, everyone feels exhausted, they get irritated, they get pissed off, and it keeps her stuck in her forehead, and thus she gets irritated and pissed off, and eventually she's like, fuck this, I'm done, I can't take it anymore. No matter how much I talk to you, you just don't understand, because you don't. She's speaking the wrong language for you to understand. It is literally, when you connect with a woman logically, it is literally the same as putting a piece of metal across the car's battery, across the negative and the positive poles. What's going to happen? The energy is going to build and build and build, and it's going to freaking explode exactly like a marriage does. And this, gentlemen, is why between the year 5 and 7 years, men and women tend to argue and fight and eventually get divorced. Okay, by the way, these charts, these images you're looking at, these diagrams, this is from my the manual for the course, for my course, Cracked Female Code. So these are some of the images and charts you're going to see. All right, so let's move on. So now, watch this. So this right here is something I learned during hypnosis and during a 5-week NLP training. So at the very bottom is this is specific and detailed. Sorry if the image isn't very well, or it's not designed really for this. So at the very bottom, at the tip of the point, it says specific and detailed. Now to the left, it says why or how specifically, what specifically, why specifically, get to the point, or what's your point. This languaging is what's called left brain male languaging. It's like looking under a microscope. If you want to piss a woman off while she's talking to you, trying to explain something, all you have to say is, get to the point. Because here's the deal, she's trying to explain the bigger picture, and how they do that is they explain one piece of the puzzle, they describe it in depth, and then the next one, and then the next one, describe them in depth, and then they connect them. And that's what I've been doing in these videos, and this is what the course does. But once you can see the bigger picture, everything shifts. All of a sudden, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to literally tell you how to shift into your power. That's what the course does. The left brain, the microscopic brain, that's the little boy brain. That's the follower brain, okay? It's good to be able to have a lot of specific details, but if you can't put the pieces of the puzzle together, you're useless. All right, so the question why specifically, get to the point, what's your point, all of that stuff will irritate the crap out of her. And that's what men do. We go, oh, why is this, why that, well, what's the point, we'll get to the point. Oh dude, that's just going to irritate the piss. Oh, fuck you. Now here's the deal. What that does is it pulls her over to her left logical brain, which is what this at the very bottom of this, we'll call this a V or triangle, whatever you want to call it. This is the left brain, the very far left brain. Now, I'm going to give you something right now that you can begin to use. But automatically, I know, because I felt this way in every one of my clients, like, I don't know, dude, that's kind of weird. All you have to do now, if you look towards the top left, it says, for what purpose, what's your purpose, what's your greater purpose? If you ask a woman these questions, she's going to go, oh, well, what my purpose is, what's my bigger purpose? Well, blah, blah. And she's going to like light up, her pupils will dilate, and she'll like, she'll be stunned, like, oh, and she'll just, what it is, and she'll be excited, she'll be happy, and she'll just start talking a mile a minute. And you're going to be like, holy shit, I just literally said, well, what's your purpose, or what's your greater purpose for sharing? Here's one, what's your greater purpose for sharing this with me? So let me give you those 3 questions real quick if you can't read it. It's for what purpose, what's your purpose, what's your greater purpose, and then you could say, what's your purpose for sharing this with me, right? And also throw in the phrase big picture. Well, you could say, well, the bigger picture is blah, blah, and they like bigger picture, because on an unconscious level, all of these words, purpose, bigger picture, what's your purpose, for what purpose, they trigger her right brain to turn on. And this is a woman's home. They love this part of their brain. They love this system, and they feel very comfortable, and they have a lot of fun using it. Guys, that logical communication, it's an irritating turnoff. Okay, it's test time. Yep, you've already got a test that we're going to give you right now. Let's see who's been paying attention, and really, I want to see who's actually smart here. I'm serious. Okay, so I've already said it. I've already given it to you, but I wonder which of you have actually caught on yet. Alright, so what I've explained to you is still a surface level of what's going on, but here's the question, is how do you turn a woman on? Okay, I'm just going to kind of wait here for a couple seconds and write it down, say it out loud. How do you turn a woman on? By being internal. When you are physically connected to your body, what we call associated, your voice will become more resonant, your pupils will dilate open, your skin softens, your blood vessels fill with blood, your lips fill with blood, and she can sense that, or really it's her mating system that sees that, hears that, and feels that. She suddenly feels what women call the vibe. It's the open vibe, not the linear, logical. See, when you're in your logical brain, you become very scientific, and you go up in your forehead, and you start to talk like this, but a lot of guys have been doing this so long, you don't even know you're doing it. Because you've been doing it your whole life, or at least since probably 9th grade or 10th grade, and you don't even know how to come out of it. So when you learn how to come out of that, all of a sudden women want to talk to you. And yes, during the course I will condition this to where you learn how to go into the other system and automatically walk around being this guy that's attracting women without even doing anything. So here was really my question. I actually asked the question wrong. Not only is it how you turn women on, but how do you seduce women? By being inside your body, by being associated, by being in the right brain system. Now, let's look at this symbol here. We've all seen these two symbols, the male and female symbols. Okay? First thing I want to tell you right now is you don't actually understand these symbols. I already know that. Unless you study symbols, and even then, you probably actually don't understand what these symbols represent. And yet, we're shown it all the time. And here's the deal. They're backwards right now. They're reversed. In fact, every time you see them, they are in the reverse way. Here it is again. It's being reversed. This was done on purpose a long, I want to say probably 2,000 plus years ago. This was done on purpose, and it screwed up relationships between men and women, and it took away your power in dating, relationships, and sex. And my job is to reinstall that into you, so now you have the power in dating, relationships, and sex, because this actually turns a woman on. When it's up to her, women don't like it. It's a turn off. Alright, so here's another page from my manual. Okay, so here is the correct way that it's supposed to be displayed, but they'll never do it. And not only that, but the middle and the bottom part of this is something you've never seen, you've never heard. Alright, so here's the deal. If you look at the left blue male symbol at the top, it's a little blue circle at the very top with the arrow. That's the male symbol. On the right is the female symbol. I don't know why I made that green. I thought I made it pink. That's kind of odd. Anyways, so the female symbol is the circle, and then it's actually an arrow going down. Okay, you know what? Prince has the symbol, and you can look it up, but there's the line that goes down from the circle at the very bottom. There's supposed to be an arrow. That's actually the official symbol for the female symbol. Now, Prince the rock star from the 80s and 90s, he actually used that symbol as his name. He turned his name into that. It just means the internal way. I know that sounds weird, guys. Now, look, I'm talking physics. We're talking about science. We're talking about math. So the left brain math is called the linear math. The left brain physics is called linear. But there's also if you went far enough in math, there's something called the non-linear math. Same thing in physics, okay? This is nothing new. This is pure Western mind, scientific science. The IBM computer processor is the linear processor. It's a linear external, just like your left brain, the linear external processor. It processes information in a different way. The right brain, or the Apple computer's processors, are called the nonlinear, circular, expansive. Believe it or not, but that word expansive actually turns a woman on. And now you're going, well, what are you talking about? See, you actually don't even understand what seduction is to a woman. It has nothing to do with an expensive dinner. It has nothing to do with opening the door, pulling out the chair, an expensive car, waxing your... None of that. None of that stuff sexually turns a woman on. Let me ask you a question. I'm going to be really blunt. If I take you out to an expensive dinner and you buy your favorite dead piece of meat, steak, chicken, whatever, are you ready to have sex with me? No, of course not. Because eating a dead animal doesn't make you want to fuck. You guys have been wasting your time, your effort, your energy, and your money in the wrong direction. It does not turn women on. Sure, they'll do a prostitutional sexual exchange, and they'll even marry you for your money. But who did they marry? They didn't marry you. They married your money. And after putting up with your bullshit for 5 to 7 years, probably 10 years, because in the United States, once you go past 10 years, you have to pay her alimony for the rest of her life, or the rest of your life, and she gets to take half of everything you want. So did she really marry you? No, she married you for your money. And now she divorced you for your money too. Seduction is not a linear process. It is a non-linear process. This is what men say, well, women aren't logical. Now, here's something men do say, though. They'll say women they speak in circles. Yeah, it's literally called a circular expansive processor. It's called non-linear circular logic. It's a different form of logic. Your left brain cannot process this form of logic or the internal language, which turns women on. Remember when I used the word expansive and I said that actually turns a woman on? You're like, what are you talking about? Why would, for what purpose, greater purpose, make a woman happy? Trust me, it makes her light up. Why would the word expansive, if used in the right way, sexually turn a woman on? Buy my book, Crack the Female Code, and find out more, and then take the course, and you absolutely will not only know why, you'll know how to do it, and we will condition it into you to where you begin to automatically, unconsciously, subconsciously begin using these patterns without even realizing you're doing it. And all of a sudden, women are touching you. They're reaching out to you. They're saying, well, let's, we should get together again sometime. They will want to ask you out. They may not say, do you want to go on a date like a man does? Because that turns a woman off, by the way. They will indirectly, in a very subtle way, say, we should do this again. I really enjoyed talking to you, blah, blah, blah. And they'll say all kinds of things like that. And you're like, wait, what's going on here? Women want to talk to me more? Because usually most men go, dude, I can't even keep a conversation with a woman. I will condition these patterns into you on an unconscious level. That's what the course Crack the Female Code does. That's what it's designed for. Why? Because logically teaching you this stuff will not work. We have to physically condition this into you over and over and over until it becomes a part of your system, a part of your natural nature, and you can access this system at will. All right, let's get back to some science here. Let's get back to my manual. So here's the deal. There is literally a step-by-step process that you have to take a woman through. This is about the only step 1, step 2, step 3 thing I'm ever going to teach you, because that's very left brain. And I already know right now wait, steps? You're like on an unconscious level, like, okay, keep going, Mike. I like this. Yeah, because the left brain likes step 1, step 2, step 3. You talk to a woman this way, which men do. I was even talking to the sales lady at the Toyota dealership. She goes, oh my God, men always use steps. She goes, I'm so sick of it. And while we were talking about, the two guys next to us at the table over, one of the salesmen, they were saying, well, first you do this, second you do that, and in the third step, and the fourth step, and we just started busting up laughing. They're like, what's so funny? And she's like, oh, nothing, just an inside joke, never mind. Guys, women are highly aware of what you do. They don't like it, it doesn't make them feel comfortable, and it definitely doesn't turn them on. All right, now let's look at the chart. So the left brain is the male. All right. So the right brain is the female. So if you notice up by her head, the pink head, it says mentally. That's step 1. So women need to connect initially on a mental level. That means literally the logical level. So this is like when in the beginning you guys use lines and openers. It's like it doesn't turn her on, it doesn't make her fall in love, but well, it keeps the conversation going, and that's all it does. Women will even have sex with you hoping that eventually you'll shift over to the right brain and learn how to drop down inside. The problem is a lot of these pickup artists go, I don't get it. After about a month or two, she actually got really pissed off at me and said she's sick and tired of my shit. And I was like, I just kept doing the same things. I was like, yeah, you were stuck in first gear. After you connect mentally, now there's something I teach in my course called mentally stimulating and emotionally fulfilling language. It's the hidden right brain way. That will shift you down to number 2. Now, you're thinking, oh, just teach me the words. No, it doesn't work that way. I mean, that's like going to Mexico and speaking Spanish in 30 seconds. It's not going to work, bro. You also, now here's the deal. You also have to be in the right brain. Technically, you're actually physically, your energy, your awareness is inside your body. When you do that, it turns on your right brain, okay? Number 1, when you speak the language with that being internal, all of a sudden she lights up, her whole system turns on, and she is highly aroused at this point. Again, click subscribe, click like, and go ahead and buy my book, Cracked Female Code, at crackedfemalecode.com. Okay, so now I'm just going to run through the system. It's really simple, actually. Step 1, you have to connect mentally. So you have to learn how to communicate in what's called a mentally stimulating way. Okay, I will teach you how to do this in the course. Now here's the deal. I don't teach openers and I don't teach lines. There's no memorization. Why? Because the memorization is the left brain logical system. That's the brain that memorizes street names, addresses, mathematical computations, and all that shit, okay? When you memorize shit, here's what happens. It forces you to go back into that brain, your left logical brain, and thus you just turned her off. So I don't teach you things to memorize, okay? The most complicated pattern you're going to learn is this one right here. Step 1, step 2, step 3. It's fucking easy. So first you got to connect with her mentally. So draw a little dotted line across from your forehead to her forehead. After you give her what's called mentally stimulating communication, there's like a lockbox in her forehead. It's Mother Nature's way to safety device. So it's like a locked system. So you can't access her until you fill that up with enough mentally stimulating communication. And just like a lock, pops open and she drops down into her heart area, her emotions. Scientifically, technically, she's actually accessing her right brain, the emotional 5 senses processor. So now she's feeling emotions. Now it's another lockbox. Mother Nature's smart. She doesn't want her to reproduce with a dumb guy. She wants her to reproduce with a right brain guy because those are the guys that can get ahead. They make greater social connections. Now here's the thing I didn't tell you. The right brain is the social brain. That's where you gain social power. And this is how you get ahead in life. Without learning how to communicate and also be in the right brain, you're not going to have any social power. Alright, so once you give her what's called the hidden language, the internal language, the emotionally fulfilling language, and you have to be in your internal system, emotionally connected yourself, associated. Now she receives emotionally fulfilling communication and body language from you. Again, it's like a big bowl. Once you fill this all the way up, it pops open, and then she connects with you sexually. Which, now look at you. Where's your number 1? Your number 1 is physical. And this is where men always want to connect first. Now, it makes sense, and here's why. Once men have an orgasm, there's a chemical called oxytocin that releases into your bloodstream. And it acts as a relaxant. Every muscle, every nerve, every fiber in your body, every cell just relaxes. Now, what did I say about women? If you're in your logical, linear, uptight system, that's not going to relax her. In order for her to open up her vagina, and I mean this seriously, she has to feel emotionally and physically relaxed. So when you're on your caffeine, your energy drinks, and all that shit, you're actually shutting her down. You literally shut her down and disconnected her. That's not good. Alright, so here's the deal. Our natural inclination is to go to sex first. Here's the problem. A lot of men will get pissed off like, I don't understand. She likes me, I like her. Why don't we have sex? Because she has to go through this 3-step process. You have to understand just how a car... Look, one thing about the American cars and Japanese, at least back in the 70s and 80s, they were wired in the opposite direction. friend of mine's dad used to work on cars, and he goes, you know, he goes, I don't really like Japanese cars. I'm like, well, why? They're no good? He goes, no, it's not that. They're good cars. He goes, the problem is every step is the opposite of what I would normally connect it. So I have to constantly remind him, no, you got to go backwards, got to go this way. He goes, it's just frustrating, okay? So here's the deal. My point is this. They are neurologically, physiologically wired to go mental, emotional, sexual / physical. It's not a choice. She has to connect with you mentally through communication. And then she has to connect with you emotionally through the right brain's communication system. If you don't do this, she doesn't get turned on, and she just lays there like a dead fish and says, okay, go ahead, pump away. She's not having fun. She doesn't enjoy the experience, and it's not her fault. And guess what? It's not your fault either. But now that you're learning this stuff, it is your fault because you know better. Okay, remember earlier on when I was talking about how most relationships are an energy drain and she gets really frustrated and pissed off over a period of years and she can't take it anymore? Well, what you're looking at is the answer to all your problems. When you connect with a woman first mentally, then emotionally, then sexually, it opens her up. Now her system is open and flowing, and then when you have an orgasm, that oxytocin relaxes all your blood vessels, your veins, your muscles, and more importantly, there's an artery in your lower reptilian brain. When it relaxes, it opens wide open, and now blood can flow up into the larger human brain, and blood is the fuel that turns on your left and your right brain system. Now you're open to your emotional system, and now the energy flows. It goes down from our forehead, down to our groin, and connects to you, goes up through your body. It goes up through your body, into your emotions, and then you begin to unconsciously communicate in this system. So the challenge is to learn how to do it in her system so all of her lights are turned on. So now all of her systems are turned on. Her left brain, her right brain, and her lower reptilian brain. All the system's doors are open to each other like a computer should be, and it's flowing, and now it happens to you too. This will actually add energy to your relationship instead of drain, and now you've got extra energy for your children, and that is the way it used to be a long time ago before they purposely screwed up this whole system in societies throughout the world. Yes, it was done on purpose. What I'm teaching you right now, they don't want you to know this. When I say they, I mean the powers that be. They have purposely tried to shut me down in many, many ways, including running me over with a car and sending someone to poison me. Yes, this actually happened. I got a phone call 2 weeks before it happened. Someone says, hey, you better stop teaching this stuff or they're going to kill you. This is the hidden knowledge that they purposely hid from men and women. They don't want us to understand each other, because then what's going to happen is we're going to get along and then they can't control us. This is much more than getting a quick lay, getting laid fast, seduction. This is about love. When you open up to your love, it opens you up to your bigger system, and all of a sudden you can see the bigger pictures and all the bullshit that they've been pulling on all of us. My course is about love, communication, and understanding. And yes, it does get you laid fast in a way that fulfills her mentally, emotionally, and physically. It's the most meaningful form of romance, love, and communication that a woman could ever receive from a man. If you want to honor your wife, your girlfriend, or the next girl that you want to go out with, learn how to do this. Hey, this is Mike Kollin at crackedfemalecode.com. I'll see you guys in the next video. Remember, buy my book. That book was put together in a way that puts the pieces together, and a lot better than what I could do in any freaking 30-minute video. God bless you guys. I'll see you in the next video.